you're reading her wrong. And the problem is, you don't even realize it. Because from your perspective, everything makes sense. You see her behavior, you interpret it, you react, and it feels logical, it feels justified, it feels like the right move. But the outcome keeps going in the wrong direction. She becomes more distant, less engaged, less responsive. And you don't understand why. Because in your mind, you're doing the right things, adjusting, trying to improve, trying to fix what changed. But that is exactly the problem. You are reacting to your interpretation, not to reality. And if the interpretation is wrong, everything that follows will be wrong too. It usually starts with something small, a shift in timing, in tone, in energy. She replies a bit slower, says less, doesn't engage the same way, nothing dramatic, nothing clear, but enough to feel it. And in that moment, you assign meaning. She's losing interest. She's pulling away. Something is wrong. And once that idea appears, everything starts aligning with it. You notice every delay, every short reply, every moment of low energy, and you ignore everything else because your mind is now looking for confirmation, not truth, confirmation. And this is where distortion begins, because now you are no longer seeing her behavior, you are seeing your interpretation of it. And that changes everything, because now you react not to what is happening, but to what you think is happening. And that reaction is what she feels, not your thoughts, not your analysis, your behavior. You become more careful, more controlled, more reactive. You think more before replying. You adjust your tone. You try to avoid mistakes. You try to keep things stable. And from your side, it feels like effort. From her side, it feels different, less natural, less grounded, more dependent. And that shift is what changes the dynamic, not her behavior, your response to it. There is something else here that most men never see. The same behavior can mean different things depending on context. She pulls back. That can mean loss of interest or growing emotional weight. She becomes less expressive. That can mean disconnection or internal processing. She delays replies. That can mean low priority or increased awareness. And if you treat all of these the same, you will always react incorrectly. Because you are not reading the situation, you are applying a fixed meaning to dynamic behavior. And that does not work, because people are not consistent. They change, they fluctuate, they respond to emotion, to context, to internal states. And if you ignore that, you will always misread the situation. But the biggest mistake is not the wrong interpretation. It is what you do after. Because once you believe something is wrong, you try to fix it. You increase effort, you push slightly, you try to bring things back to how they were. And that is where everything breaks. Because now your behavior is not natural, it is reactive. You are responding to fear, not to reality. And that creates pressure, subtle but real. And pressure changes how she feels, not immediately, but over time. Because now, instead of experiencing the interaction, she feels it. She feels the adjustment, the tension, the expectation, and that reduces attraction, even if it was there before. This is how most connections fade, not from one mistake, but from a series of small reactions based on wrong assumptions. Each one makes sense on its own. Each one feels justified, but together they change the dynamic completely. And by the time you notice it, it is already too late, because the direction has changed. There is something else that matters even more: how you handle uncertainty. Because most misreading comes from discomfort. You feel something unclear and you rush to define it. You want an answer. You want clarity. You want to know where you stand. And in that rush, you create a story, something that explains the situation, even if it is not accurate, because having a wrong answer feels better than having none. And that is where the problem begins, because now you are acting on something that is not real. And the more you act on it, the more real it becomes in your behavior, in the dynamic, in the outcome. So if you want to stop losing situations, you need to change one thing, not what you do, how you read, because everything starts there. If you read it right, your actions become simple, natural, accurate. If you read it wrong, everything becomes forced, complicated, and ineffective. So instead of reacting to every shift, start observing patterns, not moments, not isolated behavior, but direction over time. Is she moving toward you, staying the same, or moving away? That is the only question that matters. And the answer is always there, but it requires patience. It requires distance. It requires you to not jump to conclusions. And most men cannot do that. They react too early, too fast, too emotionally, and that is why they keep repeating the same cycle. Different situation, same mistake, same outcome. So, if you want to change that, stop trying to control what happens. Stop trying to fix every shift and start focusing on seeing clearly. Because once you see clearly, you do not need to guess. You do not need to force anything. You simply respond. And that response is what defines everything that follows. And most men don't lose because of what she does. They lose because of how they misread it from the very beginning.